So I wanted to demonstrate skinning paracord. The beautiful thing about paracord is it is in sections. So the outer sheath of the paracord is about 250 pound tests, and then each of the individual inner strands are about 35 pound tests each. So with all of those together, 7 inside and the outer sheath, that's 8 pieces of paracord for every length that I have. So very important to be able to separate those two to get the most cordage possible. And then I can use just one strand when I don't need more than 35 pounds of strength, or double or triple them for more, or use the outer sheath when I need the most strength. So my technique for skinning paracord: start to pull the sheath back, exposing the inner strands, and then tie those inner strands to something. So that's holding tight, and now I'm just going to pull this down towards the end, separating these 7 inner strands from the outer sheath. And then I'm going to start to pull the sheath down and push it with my hands down the length of those inner cords. Nice to do this with gloves because it's actually kind of strong on the hands, and you can get blisters from the heat generated. So now I have my inner strands and my strong sheath separate and ready to use. And then I will make a spool and spool up this paracord innards onto my spool for easy use. To make a spool, I'm just going to split out a little round of wood until I have a relatively flat piece, and then I'm going to carve that so that it's pointy on one end and wider on one end and narrow in the middle. The pointy is so that I can use it as a netting needle. So I used this for making my shelter, particularly for the door of my shelter. I made a longer spool with a nice pointy end so that I could push my spool of paracord innards between the thick boughs of my door and lash them together between peeled poles along their length. So the netting needle long enough to get between those thick boughs was really important. Also, it makes it easy to get into tight spaces and in shelter building, especially with thick walls like I had, so that I could pass it to one side and still have enough to grab to get it through. So just kind of working it down, getting that nice end. And then what I'll often do is just put a little bit of a split in one end, not with my hand down there, but with my hand up here. Put a little split in there so that I can put my loose end in there so it's not going to unravel on me. Always kind of trying to find the balance between having long enough pieces of paracord innards that you're not doing too much splicing, but not so long that they're really difficult to keep from tangling. And how you wind the paracord on does make a difference, because if you're sloppy with it and it's all over and the strands are crossing one another in loose and sloppy ways, then it can tangle on you, and that is a big pain in the butt. So when I get to the end of one piece, then I get my next piece ready, and I'm going to do a simple fisherman's knot to join them. So just an overhand knot in one direction with one of the strands, and then an overhand knot in the other direction with the other strand, each wrapping around the piece next to it. And then when I pull them tight, they tighten each other and can't come undone. So that makes a nice join, and then I just keep going around with the other piece, keeping it nice and tightly wound. And so on until I've got all of my paracord innards nicely spun. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you're interested in learning more about what I do and ways to learn from me, check out my website, www.buckskinrevolution.com. Also, if you really like what I'm doing and want to support it, please check out my Patreon profile and consider supporting me through that platform. It makes a huge difference in the content and the quality of the content that I can put out into the world, and you get all kinds of wonderful benefits as well. Thanks, folks, and thanks for joining me in the Buckskin Revolution.